Hi, vinyl community. It's Greg at the Vinyl Arms, and thanks again for tuning in. So I'm going to do a bit of a response video today, and also a big shout out to Dave at MFidelity. So Dave has been putting videos out for a year now. So to celebrate his year of tenancy on the vinyl community and all things records, he's doing laps around his living room, spinning lots of discs and having a massive celebration. And he set us all a challenge, and that's to sort of talk about 5 records that have certain sort of themes around London. I think he's a big fan of London. I think he's been over a few times. London's great. I live in North Yorkshire, and every now and then I like to jump on a train and go down to the Big Smoke, and it's got a lot to offer, from nightlife to theatres, museums. Being a dad, there's loads of stuff for the kids to do down there, which is great. And it's also fab for hunting down music as well. Anyway, on to the task at hand. 5 questions Dave has set. Some of these took a bit of thinking about, actually. So it's been a really fun sort of challenge, dare I say it, to do this. But here we go. So number 1 is basically a record or a song that mentions London in the title. So I'm sort of digging back now to Burial, the king of sort of dubstep experimentalism, and this was one of his early EPs called South London Boroughs, released on Hyperdub. Now, this originally came out in 2005. I didn't really get into Burial, maybe 2008, 2009, so I missed this first time round. The original pressing from 2005 is rare as hen's teeth and costs a small fortune, but mercifully, it got reissued on Hyperdub last year on a lovely clear vinyl. And this 4-track EP sounds absolutely wonderful. It sounds particularly good, actually, listening to this with a pair of headphones on. You get to hear all the detail that's going on. And that's the thing about Burial. His music's really involved, really complex, lots of different textures. You can't listen to it once, twice, 3 times and claim to get it. You really need to kind of give it some attention and some deep listening, and you can really hear everything going on with a pair of headphones. But anyway, Burial, South London Boroughs, classic 4-track EP, originally from 2005, but this reissue is from last year, 2024. A live album recorded in London. Well, when I was growing up, late 80s, early 90s, I was into my metal, heavy metal, rock, and this band were absolutely fabulous. I saw Faith No More live in Sheffield. L7, a sort of a grunge band, was supporting them at the time. Absolutely fantastic live. Mike Patton, the singer, so much energy. The band's so talented. Just really good fun. And this live album, Live at Brixton, captures all of that fun. It's a great album. 8 tracks. Yeah, 8 tracks. Yeah, no nonsense, no messing. You got a great song on here. I mean, a big hit for them was Epic. That's on here live. You've got Fall Into Pieces, From Out of Nowhere, We Care a Lot. That's a great tune. But also a really good cover version of War Pigs, the big Black Sabbath tune. But yeah, Faith No More, Live at Brixton. Great album. Well worth a listen. Number 3, a song that talks about a street in London. So this is a fun one. The Headcoats, Irregularis, I think that's pronounced. This is one of their more recent albums. Billy Childish himself has been in many different bands and must have released upwards of 100 albums, and I don't really think I'm exaggerating there, and probably even more singles. He's a really prolific musician and a very talented musician as well. But all of his stuff is kind of down the sort of the garage rock, sort of rock and roll sort of side of things, and really sort of stripped back sound, raw, and importantly, Really good fun to listen to. And this album is one of their more recent ones, released on Damaged Goods. It must have only came out 2 or 3 years ago. There we go, 2023. And it's an absolute belter of a listen. But the purpose of this task, a street in London, well, track 1 on side 1 is called the Baker Street Irregulars. Now, Baker Street, for those who may or may not know, is a famous tube station in London, and a street, and it's the first tube station worldwide, I believe, to open up and have an underground station. And I also think Baker Street is the Hound of the Baskervilles and all that stuff to do with Sherlock Holmes as well. So a few little link-ins there. Now, question number 4 was a picture sleeve which has a London landmark on. And I'm sort of going for the ever classic Pink Floyd, Animals, and this is Battersea Power Station. And that's an animation there. It's a drawing of Battersea, and you've obviously got the fabulous pig there flying over the top there. But if you look on the inside of the gatefold sleeve, you've got some actual photos of and around Battersea. Now, a lot of these pictures were actually taken by a chap called Peter Christopherson, who is a musician in his own right and recorded music under an experimental group called Coil, which are excellent, but a totally different proposition. But this is a fabulous album, Pink Floyd, Animals, great prog album, and I love the opener on side 2, Pigs, 3 different ones, with the repetition of "Oh Charade You Are." It just sounds brilliant, brilliant, brilliant album, that one. And finally, a song which sings about an area of London. Well, again, another sort of rock band from the 80s, 90s that I grew up with, the Dogs d'Amour, and these were a London band. They lived in and around, breathed, drunk in the London streets, and they're great. You know, I think they've only done 4 or 5 albums. Tyler does a lot of solo stuff now, the singer, but the Dogs d'Amour are an absolutely brilliant band. Again, sort of rock and roll, and there's a song on here called Heroin. And I'm going to get double points here for this, Dave, I think, because this opening song mentions 2 areas of London. So here we go. While you were walking around Powis Square, there's number 1. I was up in Highgate, you all know where, there's number 2. And I'm just going to read the rest of this lyric because I love it so much. While you were putting on my favourite clothes because they look much better on you. I just love that lyric. I love this album. It's the Dogs d'Amour Hits and Bootlegs album. It was released on China Records, and I want to say 89. Let me have a little look. Nope, 1988 that came out. Great sounding record. And there we go. So thanks, Dave, for putting this together. Great little idea, this. And it got us all sort of hunting through our collection to try and find the tie-ins for the 5 questions. So love this kind of thing. Hope you enjoyed the video. Later.